So Milo and Lola are just starting their first night in hell, and they really aren't all that jazzed about it. But there's a standing rule that if you can manage to outdrink the devil himself, he'll let you walk free. So off our pair of intrepid heroes go on their impossible quest to outparty Lucifer, getting into all manner of hijinks as they navigate the depths of Dis and attempt to regain their former lives.
Good job! Oh man, this is harder than it looks.
But instead of the raging all-night kegger that setup might suggest, Afterparty is a much calmer adventure that only uses the frat party setup as a backdrop for dry, witty commentary and a whole lot of character introspection. As always, I'm Alex, and this is First 5, where I ask if games are worth your time, not your money. I played a game for 5 hours, and I'm gonna tell you if those were 5 hours well spent. And today we're partying our way out of hell in Afterparty.
Oh my god, Lola, we're dead! We're fucking dead, and there's a god!
Afterparty's plot doesn't go too far past the blurb on the back of the box. Milo and Lola spend the entire runtime trying to break out of hell, yes, but the game is much more interested in the locales they're visiting and the colorful denizens that inhabit them than our everyman POV characters' attempts to escape. It's Gulliver's Travels Hell Edition. Exhibit A, Milo and Lola are both kind of cardboard cutout 20-somethings. Milo is the socially awkward kid who always falls on his face in the pursuit of being cool instead of just himself, but he always gets back up to try again. And Lola is the sardonic kid that sits in the corner for 30 minutes at a party before they roll their eyes and say, hey, let's blow this joint. The real emotional core of the game comes from Lucifer himself, as well as his siblings.
Oh, hi, Hightower. You wouldn't be attempting to intimidate Messrs. Sangbong and Lola Wolf at my carousal, would you? Because that kind of behavior doesn't really structure well with the pack mentality I'm trying to delicately maintain. No.
Afterparty spends a majority of its runtime shuttling you between a whole cohort of fallen angels, as well as trying to get you to empathize with them in a story that ends up mostly being about the family trauma that even the highest orders of angels and devils can't escape from. The kind of family baggage that you inevitably get saddled with when you literally wage a war against dear old dad, and when you lose, your timeout punishment is to be the steward of hell for all eternity. Afterparty basically posits Lucifer and his siblings as being in the middle of the biggest family squabble known to man, and they all have equally epic trauma that's gone unresolved ever since falling from heaven. The Barons of Hell aren't terrifying monsters, they're washed up in their own unique ways, and that feeling extends to almost every denizen of hell, which is posited as a place where the jailers are just as miserable as the inmates. From 9 to 5, the demons punish sinners with all the glee of an office worker filing TPS reports, and when night falls, all that's left is for both sides to come together, clink glasses, and get shwasted, trying not to think too hard about the fact that this is all their lives are ever going to be from now on. The sinners don't get much of a choice for obvious reasons, and the demons meanwhile are straight up born with the jobs they'll continue to work until Judgment Day. It's a place that feels a lot like the most pessimistic and acerbic interpretations of the corporate lifestyle, except everybody's been around for a few millennia, so the in-jokes and references are all Bible verses and plays written by the long since dead. Hell, in short, fucking sucks. And it's not because people get trampled by centaurs on the daily. It's the weight of centuries of unchanging banality. And most people respond to it with the energy of a guy in a Hawaiian shirt getting shit-faced at a Ruby Tuesday happy hour, or alternatively, the dry, world-weary wit that the one hipster or emo employee in any work-life sitcom wields. And I think I love it. The humor's drier than a glass of vermouth, and there are moments where the game almost feels like it's entering Holden Caulfield territory, taking shots at anyone and everyone and how sad their lives must be. But it's got an empathetic heart when it counts and when examining central characters, and it's still got me to laugh out loud on more than one occasion.
There is pleasure in the pathless woods, friends. Know what that means?
Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out of here, yes.
This is not remotely the first time hell has been painted as a bureaucratic nightmare, but Afterparty's specific tone really brings it home. The dreary doldrums of hell where there's nothing to do but drink and suffer inspire plenty of opportunities for dry humor, and the dry humor everyone almost uniformly exhibits really sells the literal dead-end lives everyone here is living. But okay, enough waxing lyrical about themes. How does this game actually play? Aside from a few quick minigames that show up once or twice throughout the entire game, your primary form of gameplay will be through the dialogue system. Much like how alcohol is supposed to remove your inhibitions, drinking in Afterparty unlocks new dialogue options. And each drink gives you different options. Sometimes you can drink something that will make you aggressive and intimidating, and sometimes your drink just makes you talk like a pirate.
Whoever scurvy sea dog ye be, we need to get this doubloon seal of approval, and you're heave-hoing and scallywagging all over the conversation.
But here's the interesting part. You have a general idea of how each drink will affect you, but you crucially never know what your specific dialogue options are going to be until you take a swig. And sometimes the option you get is a bust. It can feel like a bit of a gamble whether to take that shot of liquid courage or just stick to the regular dialogue options. And there's a hint of greatness here, but Afterparty never reaches out to grasp it, because that gamble doesn't have any teeth to it. You can sip your drink through multiple conversations without ever running out and can refill almost any time you want, and as far as I can tell, your liver is an invincible, bottomless machine that always sobers up before the next dialogue option rolls around. So you're never under threat of getting too drunk and sloppy to function either. And the result is that there's never any consequence for drinking, and therefore never a reason to not drink. And the deeper in you get, the more you realize that even your choice of drink doesn't really matter. No matter what social flub I made or drinking game I failed, Afterparty always found a way for me to fail upwards. Afterparty could have been this tense game of strategically gambling on each sip throughout the night lest you waste it passed out drunk in the corner. Or a thoughtful game where you have to gather information on people you're talking to in order to match the proper drink to the right personality. But instead, Afterparty's mechanics are mostly just a vehicle for a few silly dialogue lines. And to be fair to the devs, there are valid reasons to take Afterparty's design in this direction, prime among them being that this is a narrative-centric experience, and maybe you don't want to put too high of a challenge curve on that and instead want to keep the player moving. And I can respect that, but the quest to outdrink the devil is narratively built up as a pretty nigh impossible one.
Okay, well, has anyone ever, done it?
Oh, sure. I mean, not since... When was Buddha farting around again? 500 years before Christ.
And I wouldn't mind that being reinforced by a bit of mechanical tension, even if the result of failure is just to bounce me back 30 seconds. I don't judge Afterparty for not putting up at least a token amount of resistance, but I kind of wish it did all the same. But this review is running long, so let's get to the big question. What do you get out of 5 hours with Afterparty? That won't be quite enough to finish the game, but there was like a half hour left, so I ended up just saying screw it and finishing it anyway. But the game is also intentionally built for at least 2 runs, with multiple branching quests and binary options to them. This is also a rare instance where I actually kind of want to go back and do that second run too. If it isn't obvious by now, I really enjoyed this one, and it's given me a lot to think and talk about. Afterparty's mechanics feel like a massive missed opportunity, but they're unobtrusive, and the narrative was always the focus with this one from the start. And in that arena, Afterparty is a slam dunk. The entire game feels like one long thought experiment from the authors on what would naturally have happened to all the characters involved after the Bible was done talking about them. And in that sense, I guess it's kind of like Bible fanfiction? But the game's vision of hell is both convincing and thoroughly entertaining. And if you have any love for narrative-focused games, it's worth checking out. And if you're looking for more narrative-centric goodness, check out my reviews for Heaven's Vault, the sci-fi game about archaeology and robots, and Observation, where you basically get to be HAL 9000. But I hope you enjoyed this first 5 review. If you did, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. If you're looking for games that value your time and don't pad themselves, I'm your guy. Thanks for watching this far, and I'll see you all next week.